Welcome to Orthopod, a podcast about the people of orthopedics and their stories. We understand that we all play many roles in our careers and lives, and it is these very stories that ultimately inform our successes and failures. Hi, welcome to another episode of Orthopod. Today I have a guest in studio, Gerald Huesch. Gerald Huesch is a friend and colleague, but more importantly, is a world-leading leadership educator. He's currently owner and operator of the Global Leadership School, has trained well over 15,000 managers, and apparently you're also working with Mission Success Team at NASA, which is pretty amazing. So Gerald Huesch and I have connected several times, and it's really, really lucky that he's been able to get here. He's flown over the Atlantic to get to us today and chat to us broadly about leadership issues. So welcome, Gerald.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. So let me get right into it. Right. Just let me just jump right into it, and we will definitely get to who you are and a bit more of the history. But I think that will come out as we discuss this. So most people that I interact with, when they have the opportunity to sit in front of someone like yourself, someone who has coached and educated leadership teams and management teams around the world and across various companies. By the way, probably double-digit companies you've interacted with?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And billion companies.
So big revenue companies.
Mm-hmm.
So what for you are the biggest challenges that this management teams come to you with? What do they come to you with as their biggest challenges that you're often asked to give advice or give counsel on?
Right. So first of all, thank you for having me. I remember 10 years ago when we met first time, and you introduced me with Beate to evidence-based leadership.
Right.
Now, after 10 years, the essence of working with these 15,000 managers and more is complexity. So they come to me and said, you know what, I'm getting at the edge of my intuition.
Right.
So how to lead if things are getting complex. They ask me, how do I lead if I'm not there? I have to lead across departments, across hierarchies, across countries. How should I do that? They say, we are under pressure. I don't have resources. My team is under pressure. I even don't have clarity for my bosses. How do I create clarity for the next level? People come to me when they go to the next higher level of their organization, and they say, how do I lead them now? So how do I establish the system I want them to work with? And many say, still, I cannot focus on leadership because I have to focus on the content at the same time. So it's like the multiple roles somebody has to encounter, and they come if it's corporate critical or project critical.
Right. Okay, well, let's try to unpack that.
Mm-hmm.
So our membership is orthopedic surgeons, physiotherapists, healthcare practitioners, primary care practitioners, and other subspecialty groups primarily interested in the care of patients with musculoskeletal issues, including some from the industry side.
Yeah.
To this group of individuals, very diverse, but also many are in leadership positions, and in fact, all of us in some degree have to work collaboratively in teams. What would be your general counsel around, personal leadership first, and then we can get into from how do you grow yourself and optimize your own success and the success of others, and then how do you then transfer that into groups?
Right. So the first answer is I don't go to the personal development first.
Okay.
Because that's a very personal way. So whenever I meet a leader, a CEO, I cannot go and say, share your values with me. And
Right.
they say, well, that's not your business.
Right.
So first I help them how to uplift the team and how to improve performance with the team. And while we're teaching this, they encounter, say, oh, that has a lot to do with me. So they start their self-process while we teach about how to lead an organization, how to lead a country, why that. So that's the first thing. Second, when I meet them, and let's say you're part of the team, and I ask the first question, who of you had been in meetings? You too, right? Of course. So that's the first one. First question. Second is, who of you experienced while you're in a meeting, you are thinking to yourself or saying to yourself, "Damn it, what am I doing here?" All hands up.
Yeah.
Then I ask the managers, the CEOs, in that same meeting, did you experience that you say to yourself, that wasn't relevant what we talked today?
4 to 5 meetings.
Absolutely. Then second is today not the best idea one, but the loudest idea one.
So, okay, repeat that one, because that's an important one to me.
Right.
So the best idea didn't win, the loudest
idea win. So, and I asked them, who of you, or the biggest shot in the room wins?
Yeah, sure.
So, and many say, yeah, that's true, the loudest idea win. So, and then I go to their projects and I ask, so I'm asking for pressure points and say, who have you experienced in your projects that once you delivered something, then your boss says, that's not what I wanted. And then you say, well, that wasn't clear. Everybody hands up, clarity.
Yeah, sure.
Then if you're in projects that who experience of all of you managers, no matter what level of the organization, that you say, we should have thought about that problem earlier. We should have had that earlier on the table to talk about that. All hands are up. So this is, how do you get the problems faster to the surface? So, and that's interesting.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. So this is a really good area, because I imagine there isn't a single person in the audience, in our audience membership, right, who those who watch this and those who are involved and who will be consuming some of this content. All of us are in meetings. Like, I'm in meetings all the time,
right.
And all of us at some point are in meetings at different levels. So I may be somebody who is leading a meeting in some situations, but in many ways it's participating in another.
Right.
Do you have, quote, the clear tips for how to manage meetings?
Absolutely.
So maybe we can walk through some of those and give you rationale. Why don't we start with that? Because I think most of us would agree that meetings are often more dysfunctional than they are functional. And how do we get to more functional?
So basically, just to sum that up, is then I'm asking all these questions, and then they say, yeah, we got the problem. And then I turn it around and say, but don't be afraid now, or astonished. If you felt these situations, and now you're the leader, and if I ask your people in meetings what they say, from now on, you're not allowed anymore that they say, what am I doing here? You as a leader, you're not allowed that they say it was not relevant what we talked. You as a leader has to control that not the loudest idea win, but the best idea.
Right.
So, and then people wake up and say, oh yeah, that's my thing. And because that's so difficult to do, I provided tools and techniques so to apply that immediately, like plug and play.
Okay.
And let me show you.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, let's say, so this is what I call the 9 chambers.
9 chambers, okay.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, and imagine a house with 9 levels.
Okay.
Let's say how many we have. Maybe one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9.
Right.
So, and each level has one dimensions or one discipline you have to follow.
Okay.
So, and this is at the beginning no rocket science here, but at the end it will be rocket science.
Okay.
So now let's do it together. So when you're in a meeting and you have a new assignment, what do you do with the team?
A new assignment?
Yeah.
Well, we will probably clarify the goals.
Right. So that's clarity.
Right.
So you clarify the goals, the facts, the figures, the environment, all the facts.
Right.
Once you're clear what you want, what's the next step? What do you do?
I think we will. At that point, we will. If the goals are clear, then we will be discussing. I mean, it depends. Like, so it's a new project. It's a new project. Then we would probably be doing some idea generation on the project.
So there's ideas and objects.
Yes.
Once you have collected enough ideas, what do you do?
Then we start to distill the ideas, or
You evaluate. You evaluate. You test it. Sometimes you cannot test. You are discussing it.
Right.
Once you have discussed it enough, what's next?
Once you've discussed the ideas, then we start to prioritize and
That's part of the evaluation.
And plan action, I guess.
Before the action is you make a decision, right?
Well, I guess you'd have to decide.
Right. Decision. Important here is before you ever enter the decision mode, you need to be clear with the team who has the last call.
Okay.
Sometimes that's not happening.
Okay.
So, and if it's a group who makes the decision, you need to know with what majority.
Okay.
Like Habemus Papam, who decides the Pope, who becomes the Pope, cardinals.
Yes.
But with what majority? What do you think?
Really? Oh, I'd say to who becomes the Pope? I think 80% probably.
It's 2/3, right?
2/3, 60%. Okay, 60%.
So it's 100% 2/3.
Okay.
So, and then once we have decided, we implement.
Okay.
So we do all the implementation.
Right.
In between, what do? You stop and you check. and you do like quality check.
Yeah,
and you
right.
see where we stand.
Yeah, so
and
like
number 9, what's then? So when we implement it, then we check with our meetings if we are on track. What's next?
and then we look for the impact, I would think, right?
So-
or the reevaluation.
So
or,
then you go back.
Okay.
Probably here you see there's a problem.
okay,
So then you will discuss the problems
again. Okay, back
again.
Yeah.
Then the opposite of the problem: clarity, ideas,
Yeah.
evaluation, decision. Here,
Wow.
still one is missing. It's harder for the Germans to find out. It is appreciation,
Ah,
right? Because they say if
Gratitude.
I don't yell at you,
yeah.
it's enough praise.
Right. So appreciation. Okay, got it. Okay.
Right. So wherever I am in the world, this is it. So there's not a 10th chamber or anything else.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is with this a little internationally valid because
Right.
it's in all cultures like that.
Yeah, right.
If I'm in China or in Brazil, it's always that. But now, what is the biggest problem with all the meetings around the world? It's that people process differently and differently fast.
Right.
So the one guy here, he says, he starts to explain the goal and the facts, and one guy, he already said, but we implemented something else.
Okay.
Somebody else says, but we need to double check what we learned from the last time and do
Right,
it better.
right.
And the one guy said, you even didn't say thank you what we did for the last
Oh,
time.
okay.
Somebody says, but guys, we need another decision. And somebody said, but let's discuss that. And one person said, but I have another idea. And one person said in the same meeting, well, I don't even get what's the problem.
Got it.
So see, and that's the problem with all the meetings, that people process differently fast.
So one big issue is that we aren't necessarily, if I'm just clarifying, so I
Yeah.
want to make sure I'm getting this. If I
Please.
paraphrase it back, you can tell me if I'm
Yeah.
right. But what we should be doing is being very clear about what the meeting is about, and the meeting may not necessarily cover all of these 8 or 9 steps, right? I mean,
Right.
we may be having a focus on one issue
So-
and getting everyone to that issue.
Right.
Is that
and
what you're saying?
Exactly.
Okay.
And here's the evidence. The evidence
Okay.
says it comes from the pilot and co-pilot business.
Yes.
If 2 people or a group of people
Yes.
at the same time analyze the problem,
Yes.
at the same time clarify, at the
Yes.
same time create ideas and options, is
Right.
probably the probability that we oversee a problem limits against 0.
Okay.
If we do it at the same time, is the probability to get the best idea exponential.
Okay.
But the trick is, it has to be at the same chamber. That's how we say it. So it
okay.
means we all need to be in the same chamber. How do you do this? With facilitation.
Got it.
Now, see, how do you do it in practice? Now, like this.
Okay.
Here's your normal agenda.
Right.
Let's say we talk about quality.
Yeah.
Now, what you need to add for the future to make your life easier as a leader or as a facilitator, you add the chambers you need. Probably you say, I need clarity on this, and I need ideas and options. But today, I don't need to discuss, and we don't make any decisions today. Now, this is how you moderate it.
Okay.
Before I show you this, there's one little thing just to give you
Yeah,
the
yeah,
real life
yeah.
example. It is like that. Let's say we go.
We had like a thing. Oh, that's okay. No, keep going.
I'm
keep
good.
Going. No, keep going.
Yeah. So let's say we are all in the ideas and option phase.
Yeah.
Usually, what happens in reality is like this. I will start and say, are there any ideas and options? Then you will put up your hands like this in front of that and say, I have an idea, and then
Right.
see how I react. Let's try that.
Okay.
Okay. Now let's go to ideas and options. Do you have an idea?
Yeah, I do.
I don't think that's a good idea. Say you have another idea.
I got another one.
I don't think that's a good. We shouldn't do that. We never did that.
But I have another one.
No, I don't think that's really good.
But I've got 2 good ideas.
No, I think that's not what we should do.
And he goes on and on.
And how long are you keeping up with your ideas?
I'll probably after the 3rd time I'm done. I'm
Probably.
gonna shut down.
Right. And
Probably. Maybe in a second. Who knows?
and what happens is that happens in meetings all the time, but
Right.
maybe not with the hand, but non-verbally.
Right.
Let's try again. You say, I have an idea, then look to me with
Okay.
non-verbal.
Okay. So I have an idea. So I'm thinking, person doesn't care.
Because I look to somebody I know for years.
Yes.
And I just, in the same meeting, I look to him.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, yeah, so 2 things are happening. One is in my head, I'm thinking, you're facilitating, but you're also looking to someone else you respect more than me. So you're looking to see what his or her viewpoint is.
And
I'm shut down.
Maybe both.
Yeah,
you
I'm shut down.
So
Yeah.
actually, what happens is while you say I have an idea
Yeah.
and I evaluate it too
Yeah.
fast, I am moving here.
Okay.
And the rule is everybody in the same chamber. As a facilitator or leader,
You've got to stay
you
in
need
that
to
chamber.
see that.
Stay in the same chamber. Stay in the same idea.
And then you have to see that people do like this, and that even with sound. And how do you get them back? Here's the metaphor. So you put that on a flip chart,
Yeah.
and then you say, thank you for coming. Our subject of today is quality. Before we begin, this is how we're going to proceed. We clarify the goal, then we create ideas and options. We will not discuss today, not make any decisions today.
So you let people know we're not
Yes.
going to move on these areas.
Exactly.
I think we often get caught up in that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So you
okay.
immediately say, this is what we do, this is what we not do.
Okay.
We will discuss it, but next time. Or the afternoon.
Yeah.
So now, here's the meeting running. So let's say we finish with clarity.
Yes.
And now and we do exactly the same thing. And then I do
Yeah.
the facilitation.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I say, now we finish with clarity. Great. Are there any ideas?
I have an idea.
And then somebody says, I don't like it. So, and then here's my intervention.
Okay.
So let's say the camera says, I don't like it.
Yes.
So that's what I do. I say, thank you for your idea.
Yeah.
Thank you for your evaluation. But
Yeah.
please have a look. We said today we are going to ideas and options. We will not discuss today, not make any decisions today.
Got it.
Is that okay?
Got it.
With this, everybody very respectful to two ways.
Yeah. That's a great way to manage this.
Back to here.
So now that we have a pretty good idea, and thank you so much for this, is helping think through how to compartmentalize or put in, as you call, chambers, various concepts of meetings, and how we often sometimes get caught up in multiple different chambers when we should be focusing on one.
Right.
One big question I get asked all the time, and quite frankly, I've been at these sort of situations where you will sit through 2 hours of a meeting with many people, and you will leave really not understanding what the meeting was even about, or what the goals of the meeting were, or just confused about what you're supposed to do, and you get so far into the meeting that it almost becomes embarrassing to say, okay, I'm not even sure why we're here, and I'm not even sure what we're supposed to be doing. Like, that seems to be a pervasive feeling.
Right.
And is that a failure of the facilitator? Is it a failure of the leader? Or is it a failure of the group? Or is it all of us?
It's all of us.
Okay.
Right. Because we are responsible to get the most out of the meeting we
Okay.
can. So applying these 9 chambers rigorously,
Yeah.
really tough at the beginning,
Right.
taking more time at the beginning. That's
Right.
the goal. This is what we will do. This is what we will not do.
Right.
Clarify that at the beginning.
Right.
So, and with this, we have improvement of 80% meeting efficiency. If you do that, it is amazing. You can use that on video conferences. You always start. Thank you for coming. This is the subject. These are the chambers. This is what we do. This
Got
is
it.
what we not do.
Okay.
Video conference webinars, it works perfectly.
Okay.
So, but coming back to the second part of your question about the clarity
Right.
issue, everybody thinks they're clear, but at the end is they're not. So clarity is one of the biggest issue that causes double work, frustration, blind work. Because imagine, you get a task in a meeting.
Right.
Now you go back to your team members.
Right.
And you're not precisely clear what they should do. So they
Right.
work on something.
Right.
Y-
I'll make sure you get clear.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So you're in the meeting, you get the task from the leader,
Yep.
you go to your team, explain it to them, they work on something, and then they bring it back to you and you back to the sponsor. And the sponsor says, no, that's not what I wanted. That's not what I thought. And then everything happens apart because you have to go back to your team and say, sorry, it's not clear. So it was wrong. And then say, what kind of leader are you if you cannot create clarity?
Right.
So, but it's very difficult to create clarity. The method behind
Okay.
how to create misunderstanding-free clarity is
Yes.
what I call a clarity cycle.
Okay. Clarity cycle. All right.
It has 3 levels. It is the macro level, and the micro, and the nano level.
No. Okay.
Right. So it is basically like this. You take the assignment and you check every word
Yeah.
of the assignment.
Yes. You can move this out of the way if you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Every word of the assignment, if it has potential to be misunderstood.
Okay.
Right? So then you take that word, then you go down and you define what that word means.
Okay.
Let's say my wife said, sweetheart, the next weekend you make a nice breakfast. That's a high-risk project for me.
Okay.
Because if it's not a nice, then sweetheart is sad, and I don't want a sweetheart being sad.
Okay.
So the word next weekend is the first word that could have misunderstandings. So is it this weekend or the weekend later?
Okay.
So then I define this weekend, it means this weekend.
Okay.
So, and then next weekend, what do you mean with weekend? Weekend has potential to be misunderstood. Is it Saturday or Sunday, or is it both?
Right.
So if I think it's Sunday and she thinks it's Saturday and Sunday, in the morning she says, "Sweetheart, what are you doing here? Where's my breakfast?"
Yes.
And then the two most important and costly words in organizations, and the two toughest work at home is I thought.
I thought.
I thought.
Yeah.
I thought you meant this. I thought you meant that.
I thought it was
you
due
meant that.
tomorrow.
You like that.
I thought you liked it.
I thought you liked it. And then the same is then what is breakfast means. And here, for example, if breakfast means croissant and jam, do you say jam or marmalade?
Either's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, jam's fine.
Jam. So jam has still the probability that it could be misunderstood. Then you go to the nano level.
Okay.
And then you say, what do we want? What do we not want? What is in scope? What is out of scope? So I want strawberry.
Yes.
And one participant did exactly this. They say, yeah, I did this at home. So I went there, and without the nano level, I bought jam. But there's a lot of jam. He brought some jam.
Yes.
Brought it home, sweetheart said, no, that's not what I wanted.
Yes.
And then he said, oh, I go back. And she said, I like strawberry because that's something else. And then so he went back and he said, well, that's so many branches brands on strawberry. He put one, brought it back. And then she said, I don't like this because it has seeds. So on a nano level, you describe it's strawberry but without seeds.
Okay.
And that's more probably the reason why when you see people in the supermarket on the phone, the guys,
Yes.
they don't call it business.
Yes.
They call home.
Yes.
Because they want to clarify what should I bring, what should I not bring.
Yes.
And we don't do this in projects a lot.
Right.
So either way, if you're the leader, make sure that every of your words that might be misunderstood, even if you work with different divisions and departments who has a different understanding of words. Let's say like things are ready. What does it mean ready? So it is delivered. What does it mean delivered? So ask every of these words, go down and define it. If there's still potential of being misunderstood, go one level deeper, say what exactly you want, what do you not want. If you are below a leader, because most of the managers, they have another leader. They don't get clarity from their superiors. So how do you get clarity from your superior? You say, thank you for the assignment. I go back to my team, and then you analyze each of the words. How would we define it and understand it? Once you're clear with your team, that's why it's called clarity cycle. So you get the task of the superior, you go one level down with your team, you discuss and define everything, then you go back, now you're clear with your team, and then you put it back to the table on the superior. And then you say to the superior, thank you for your assignment. This is how we understood it. This is what we deliver, what we not deliver. So you see that we are in the right direction. If you do not reply to that, we assume it's clear.
Yeah, got it.
So with this, you create clarity on a maximum level and in over 3 hierarchy levels.
No, that's really good. So now you have a framework.
Mm-hmm.
We all have a framework to say if a meeting goes bad, we're all complicit in it. We're all part of that meeting going bad, whatever level you are. But there is a situation that happens very frequently. A hierarchical imbalance or a perceived hierarchical imbalance.
Right.
So someone who is a student or a junior or a manager but under a CEO, for example, they, I perceive, don't feel the same courage to say this meeting is not making any sense. We need to rethink this meeting because of the fear of repercussion. So how do we balance all the diversity of people that are in a meeting as well as the hierarchies to make sure we can effectively do the 9 chambers?
Right. So one thing is when you apply the 9 chambers systematically,
right,
automatically there's no hierarchies in the room anymore. Because when you are in the ideation and you ask, are there any ideas? And then you have a hierarchy, a higher position who starts to say,
yes,
that already has impact.
right,
Then the facilitator immediately steps in and say, thank you for your ideas. Thank you already, leader, for your opinion, but we will discuss it next time.
love that. So let me ask you this then. There are many situations where just by default, not by skill, the leader is the one running the meetings.
Right.
and when the leader runs the meetings, everyone is held hostage to
Yes.
the leader's beliefs. So how do we
Love it.
change that?
So nice. Now we go more to the nano level in detail.
Yeah.
Because the problem is if the leader is running it, and,
Yes.
and if you're in the idea chamber,
Yes.
and he promotes his idea,
Yes.
it feels like not an idea, but like a decision.
Correct.
And there are two reasons why. Number one reason is because he's the leader. Number two is his voice pattern changes.
Right.
Because usually leader has what we call a sharp voice pattern. At the end of
Okay.
the sentence, voice going down. So
Yes.
he would say, have you thought about that?
Right.
And if you say, have you thought about that? It feels like a command. Think about that.
Right.
But for him, it's still an option.
Right.
But for the rest of the group,
It's a demand.
it's a demand.
Right.
So first, I make aware of that your voice has impact how you say it.
Right.
So, but if he says, this is only an idea,
Right.
everybody knows. Second problem is the leader sometimes has to give content as well.
Yeah.
So how do you do that? The technique behind is called places have memories. It means you stand in front of the flip chart, and or you're sitting here, and I do it now with you, and I say, thank you for coming. Our subject of today is quality.
Yeah.
What we do is the clarity and ideas and option. We will not discuss, not make any decisions today. But
Right.
before we start, I have 3 roles today.
Yeah.
So now you define your roles, but you combine it with the position where you're sitting. So you can say, number one role I have, I'm moderating through the process. So whenever I see somebody is jumping the chamber from ideas to evaluation, I will stop you and will bring you back.
Right.
So you explain that role. Second role, and then you move back on your seat. You say, but I'm as well part of the team. And I'm a team player, so I have some thoughts and ideas. Doesn't mean it's a decision, it's just I'm part of the team.
Yeah.
But as well, I'm the superior, and I have to make some calls about some of the decisions,
Okay.
right? So now we have 3 positions.
Yeah.
One is directly here,
Yeah.
one here, and one here. So whenever then you moderate,
Yes.
you're here, then if you want to give your thoughts and ideas, you move back in the chair, and then everybody knows, he's part of the team right now. It's not a
So it's
last
just
call.
your non-verbal language.
Right, so you combine the
Okay.
non-verbal language with the position you are here. And I
Okay.
got this from Michael Grinder, he's a master in that.
Well, let me ask you this:
Yeah.
is there? I mean, it would also seem like a one way to deal with the leader in that position is simply to say the leader does not facilitate.
Mhm.
Like he or she appoints somebody in the team to facilitate. So they're and that kind of puts them in check. When
True.
They're trying to, but,
So-
but it seems to me that it just depends on how.
I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
a leader should be able to do that
Yeah,
because
okay.
he encounters many.
Yeah.
So the 9 chambers is relevant in the places if you have one-on-ones.
Right.
So when I talk to you
Right.
and I said, Moit, have you thought about that?
Right.
Is that an idea you should follow? I think it's an idea, but you think it's already a decision.
Oh, it's a demand. Right.
If I say, Moin, I have 2 roles now. I'm running through the meeting,
Yeah.
but as well, I'm team member. If I can add some ideas, doesn't mean it's a decision.
Right.
But I'm your superior. At some point, I have to make a call.
Right.
So, and even in that, I need to be able, as a leader, that you know exactly with whom you're talking.
Wow. Yeah. Interesting.
So leaders need to know how to do it. And basically, just to be honest, they all are able to do it, but they don't know because it's intuitive.
Well, let me ask you this. There's a couple more areas,
Mhm.
and these are just broad issues that are
Right.
very, very important, but also, I think, very poignant because there's lots and lots of people writing in the business schools about, what if you are a leader in an entity that is age-wise younger than many of the people you're working with.
Mm-hmm.
So how does that person navigate? What if you are of a different gender of the majority of people in the group? So, the equivalent of being a female CEO running a company that has majority male managers, that psychology. What if you are of a different ethnicity? There's all these other groups, that we never think about because we often think about, sort of the masculine viewpoint of a leader, but leadership is so diverse now, as you know. Are there unique challenges or unique advantages to someone's perspective? I imagine there are, but I'm just curious about, are there unique facets about how younger people may lead a group, or a woman may lead a group, or someone from different ethnicity may lead a group? All the different diverse and cultural norms that have become part of the, workforce.
I would think It is a very personal thing, how
Yes.
people are developed,
Right.
how they feel. There's some research that that younger people don't feel prepared enough to lead a meeting or
Right.
do a presentation. There's some research that women feel like 50% feel I'm not ready to do it. So they work harder before they are on stage.
Yes, yes.
Once they're on stage, because they prepared better,
They outperform. I
they
would
perform
imagine.
better.
For sure. Right.
So I think it is simply the preparation of that meeting
and following the principles you're
Absolutely.
outlining. Right? So,
So-
it really, I think what I'm getting at, there is no advantage or perceived advantage when you follow principles.
No.
Anybody of any background, of any age, of any ethnicity, any gender can basically go
Absolutely.
and follow principles.
This is
That's the principle.
That's universal. That's
Yeah.
what I think. Then that's rocket science, because my career relies on that. Because I'm usually called not to teach, but to guide them in the
Right.
most difficult projects.
Right.
I'm risking, if I have higher people and hierarchy people and younger
Right,
people,
right.
and that after the meeting they say, Gerald, that wasn't a good meeting.
Right.
So my job is that they say that was the most awesome meeting. We get the most out of
Okay.
it, and so I rely on that. And this is universal. Even I give this to young people in schools or in students. So with this, they manage top management levels and like that. Yeah.
Well, let me look. Okay, so let me go back now,
Mm.
and if I could just switch back to what it is that drives you, because you're
Mm.
clearly passionate about this. You've been doing this for decades.
Right.
When you look back at your life, Gerald, what for you was the key turning point that made you feel that this was your calling? Right? Because so many of us end up in positions and roles in helping, and I always look at this in the way you frame this to me is, there's people who focus on significance and those who focus on success. I always think success is often as you're maturing, you think everything's about me and how things affect me. Significance is the maturation of success, and to say, how do I help others succeed? And that is my greatest joy. I think that's where I feel you're in that mindset.
Right.
So how did you get to that? What was the turning point for you?
So at the outset, I believe that the outcome for the manager is everything. The outcome for leader is a positive side effect. It just happened if I be significant with this.
Right.
So for me, my life calling is it started when I was 17,
Okay.
and I saw the video of Gandhi, and I was thinking, how is it possible that some person who is first class in Great Britain, and how does he change his viewpoint and become a leader? So what makes with him? What is the change? So and then I thought, I have to go to India one day to find out what was my calling. So and then when I was 17, I thought I had it all. So as a small boy, I was everybody's darling, and then everything went well. But then I went to higher class, and there were other heroes than me and bigger. So I got my first life crisis about when I was 17.
17.
So because I didn't have any friends, so I said, well, it's not my problem. I find better next year. But I didn't find. So it turns out, and I said, then it must be me. And I looked at what is my weakest points. So, and then I said, for the next 10 years, I'm going to learn for myself. I never thought about teaching others. So, and then I went to the consultant of the NASA and from Bill Clinton, and I learned from McClellan the science of leadership and motivation. So, and then after 10 years, somebody asked me, have you been? I said, this another thing, would you like to give a class on the weekend? I thought, yeah, give a class, because I thought I learn it better if I do this. So, and then they said, if my bosses would know that, we all would have a better time. And then I dedicated to the bosses. Then I went to India, and I knew I need to have the calling. And it was like that. I needed to go to the Ganges.
Ganges. Oh, wow. So you went to the Ganges. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay.
And I put my student team, because we did some dialogues, and then I forced them or convinced them to go to India. And then I was jumping into the water and was thinking, oh, where's my calling? And didn't hear anything. And then
Except you're cold and you're in the
it was
Ganges in
cold.
India.
Yeah, I went there, and
Yeah.
then nothing happened. No voice. And then I thought maybe different daytime I should go. Then the evening, in the morning, naked, not naked, no answer. And then so little voice said, you want to know the most important thing in your life? You need to go to the source of the Ganges.
Wow.
And that was not planned. So I convinced the whole crew, let's go to the source. And actually the two rivers come together. Actually there are three rivers.
Right.
So, and there's a spot where you can dive in. Before that, we went to Delhi, old Delhi, and it was very sad. There was small, and people didn't have anything, and it touched. And the leader or the guide said, "Don't look at don't look at people, don't touch them." And I felt that's wrong. And I was asking at that time, "Where's the Gandhi? What's left over from Gandhi?
Yeah.
People in that poor situation after all these years." So I went back then, and diving into the water, asked, "Where's my calling?" And I asked that about many years, "What's my calling?" Never had an answer. So then I jumped in, and then the answer was, and I never told that on microphone like
Yeah.
that, but the answer was, the world needs more Gandhis. The second
Yeah.
answer was, "Not you," because I thought I'm the Gandhi.
Yes.
And I said, "No, your job is to help developing new Gandhis." So the word that came out is a better leadership for a better world.
Got
And
it.
that's my job. Because I went into my first distress moment with 17 because I thought I'm special.
Right.
So, and out of this it came to uplift others, not me.
Okay.
So it's sort of like a life theme. And that's what I truly believe, to uplift others. That's the goal of a leader.
That's superb. And I mean, I can't thank you enough for coming and sharing some time with us today. We're going to make sure that we get, this packaged in a way that we can, get it out to our membership. And I'll make sure that for those of you who might be interested in learning more about Gerald Huesch and the work he's doing, we'll make sure we provide you with website links to the work he's doing. And, feel free to connect with him directly if you have any interest in learning more about how you can be uplifted. And certainly you've done a great job today uplifting others on the Orthopod podcast.
Thank you. Oh, my pleasure. Thank
Wonderful.
you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate
Loved
it.
Thanks for watching Orthopod. Stay tuned for more episodes.